All right, so I'm going to get into the story. This is something that happened yesterday during the impeachment trial, so I didn't get to it, but I did mention it on stream. One dead following Buffalo Alina Clinic shooting. And I want to say that I don't know the details yet, but I'm going to play this video here. I'm going to watch this with you, and we'll see what happened. But this is a really, really bad situation, and I just, want to get the news out there.
Here's what we know right now about the developing story in Buffalo, where 5 people were shot today at a health clinic. One of the victims passed away at the hospital. 3 others are in critical condition, and a 4th has already been released.
Police say this man is the shooter, 67-year-old Gregory Ulrich. They say he opened fire inside the Alina Health Clinic in Buffalo. Investigators are also looking into a bomb threat at a Super 8 that is not far from the clinic.
We have live team coverage tonight, including new information about the suspect from his former roommate. But we're going to begin with Devon Roming, who's going to piece together what happened today. Devon?
Hey, Randy. Yeah, investigators are still here at the Alina Clinic behind me processing the scene for any evidence. And we're told from the time that the 911 call went out to the time that
Who wants to guess who this guy voted for?
This all happened within a 12-minute time frame. Buffalo police are calling it a targeted but isolated tragedy after 5 people were shot, one of them fatally, in this Alina Health Clinic in Buffalo shortly before 11 Tuesday morning.
Upon our arrival, we also located several victims in this. It's a horrible looking scene.
Those victims were all taken to hospitals in the Twin Cities, some of them airlifted. And as that was all happening, many neighboring businesses and schools were forced into lockdown.
A lot of us were freaking out. We just thought it was lockdown drill.
The Minneapolis bomb squad was also on scene after reports that homemade explosives were said to have gone off inside the clinic.
We also found a suspicious package in the corner of the lobby.
The situation also prompted a search in a room at the nearby Super 8, where witnesses tell police the suspect, 67-year-old Gregory Ulrich, had been staying.
We did send a team from my office over there to evacuate the Super 8 motel. We did find additional suspicious devices.
So much snow, it's
leading
beautiful.
Investigators to then execute a search warrant at this mobile home where a neighbor told us Ulrich had lived but moved out just a week ago.
We certainly don't want to leave any stone unturned, and we want to make sure that we're being prudent throughout this entire investigation.
Now, as the investigation into why this happened ramps up, state leaders are offering well wishes to the victims and their families and thanking law enforcement for acting fast.
From everything I'm hearing in this, in an incredibly fast manner that I think probably when the data comes out saved lives by their actions, and we're grateful for that.
Now, investigators say it could be days before their investigation here at the Alina Clinic wraps up. And as for Ulrich, well, he's expected to appear in a Wright County courtroom first thing Thursday morning.
And I heard this man say, "Get down on the ground." And I turned and I saw the back of this man and he had a gun. I didn't know what to do.
That is just one scary and heart-wrenching account from a woman who was inside the clinic during the shooting today. Danny Spiewak is live in Buffalo tonight, and he's been speaking to witnesses all day. Danny, I can't even imagine the stories these people have to tell tonight.
Well, Randy, unfortunately, there are a lot of them, as this shooting happened, of course, during regular business hours in a busy commercial district just near Highway 55 here in Buffalo. And of course, as people are trying to process exactly what happened here today, just before noon, there were 3 different prayer services, at least 3, with more scheduled. And we're also told, of course, as people are looking, they are trying to really just process what happened.
Lord, I need you.
At St. John's Lutheran Church, Pastor Ryan Clark comforted a community searching for answers.
Who are afraid, traumatized, and needing peace.
In Buffalo, these images from the Alina Health Clinic will be hard to shake.
There's one driving down there now.
From his backyard overlooking the clinic, John Klatt heard the first gunshots.
That's what it sounded like, an explosion.
And he saw staff and patients scatter.
As I pull into the clinic, 2 nurses come outside, and I figured something was wrong because they were running. And they come up to the vehicle and they said there's been a shooting, and I didn't know if anyone had called the police, so they got in and I ended up calling 911.
Tiffany Polite missed the commotion by minutes.
I was just ready to drop my mom off at the front door and I was going to go park. And then those 2 front windows were shot as I was in the parking lot. So she could have easily been in the way. Wrong time, wrong place.
Police drove the nurses to safety, shots firing as they left the scene.
It was just like, I more so heard the glass breaking.
Only later would they learn the full extent of what had happened.
There is none like you.
Life had been lost in the small town of Buffalo.
We'll pray for those that are afraid or traumatized or saw some terrible things here today.
We do not yet know the identities of the victims involved in this shooting, but we'll share that information as soon as we get it. Back to you.
We heard the horrifying events play out through dispatch audio. At 10:54 this morning, the first multiple shots fired call came in.
Send as many ambulances as you can right now.
Buffalo Police and Wright County Sheriff's deputies were sent to Alina Health Clinic where they found multiple victims.
At least 15 shots were fired. No further information at this time. Just somebody came and started shooting.
Send the first ambulance you can get into the parking lot. Be the back northwest corner. I got 4 or 5 with gunshots back here.
So I'm coming out with 2 survivors, not injured.
The Alana's been notified they are looking into air care. Looking at least 5 injured critically.
They also found the suspect at the scene and took him into custody.
The male said that the gun and a briefcase is in an office by the front desk. He still should be sprawled out on his stomach.
Suspect is in custody in a squad.
Well, our Care 11 Investigates team found Gregory Ulrich has a history of harassment and threats of violence against a doctor at the Alina Clinic. And they also found documented warnings showing this was not a man who should be allowed to own firearms.
He had his issues with the hospital and the doctors there.
Raymond Zanstra is a former roommate of mass shooting suspect Gregory Ulrich. He says anyone who knew Ulrich knew he hated the health clinic in Buffalo because they would no longer prescribe him the pain medication he wanted.
There was a particular doctor that he did not like.
Court records back that up. They show Ulrich pled guilty in 2019 to violation of a harassment restraining order that mandated he have no contact with Andrew Bergdorf, a doctor at the clinic. He was not allowed to enter the Alina Clinic and Buffalo Hospital unless transported by medical personnel for emergency treatment. But in April of last year, the case was dismissed because Ulrich was found mentally incompetent to proceed.
He had all kinds of mental health issues.
By law, those documented mental health issues should have prevented Ulrich from legally possessing a firearm. But his former roommate claims law enforcement signed off on a permit.
Why would you do that? Why would you? I don't understand.
We found a document in Ulrich's court file where he'd applied for a permit and a court services agent warned that he should not be allowed to use or possess any dangerous weapon. Zanstra claims Ulrich bought a gun.
He bought a Smith & Wesson. It was brand new in a box.
So AJ,
there was a lot of speculation over whether or not this was based on vaccines, and it appears that it's not necessarily based on that. But it's also, again, very horrifying that this guy would go into such a scenario and just try to blow the place up or kill people. Again, it doesn't make any sense to just shoot random people at a health clinic. If you want to target someone, why would you go in there and just try to kill random folks? It's just ridiculous. It's dumb. And, it's unfortunate that people are dying because of this ridiculous garbage. And, again, this is just this is a terror attack, in all senses of the word. And it's bizarre that it's not being described as such. It's not being described as a terror attack. This is someone going into a health clinic to enact terror on individuals for no reason. And again, there's another thing that's important to understand is, this guy was addicted to a substance and he was just cut off cold turkey. What is that about? We can't be in a society where we get people addicted to certain things and then just arbitrarily draw a line and say you can't take them anymore. When you give people an addiction, that changes the way that their, psychological behavior, it changes the way their brain works. And I'm not trying to, give excuses to this guy, but this is just something that we need to talk about. You can't have a whole society addicted to certain things and then pull the rug out from under them and expect everything to be hunky-dory. That's not how it works. And these people need to be in rehabilitation programs. They need to get the help that they need, both mentally and physically. And this is why we do need a Medicare for all system in this country. Because if more people were to get, have the ability to get the help that they need without worrying about payment, without worrying about all that kind of stuff, we would have a more peaceful society, right? And this is like a huge problem when it comes to, old white people thinking it's my way or the highway, frankly. If an old white person has someone disagree with them, they are going, like, they're old, their lives, in their estimation are probably nearing the end anyway. They're white, they're unstable, they think that the world revolves around them and they resent everyone else. So that's a recipe for disaster in this situation. You know what I mean? So it's just, it's a huge problem. And I just, fuck.